"Do you believe a man must be hard?" she asked. She was taking a chance. "Or strong?" By her tone, she left no doubt she saw a difference. Again Cerelia touched the tray. The smallest of smiles might have quirked her lips for an instant. Or not. Most men see the two as one and the same. Cadsuane Meladrin. Strong endures, hard shatters. Cadsuane drew breath. A chance she would not have scoured anyone else for taking, but she was not anyone else, and sometimes chance had to be taken. "The boy confuses them," she said. "He will need to be strong and make himself harder. Too hard already, and he will not stop until he is stopped. He has long forgotten how to laugh except in bitterness. There are no tears left in him. Unless he finds laughter and tears again, the world faces disaster. He must learn that even the dragon reborn is flesh. If he goes to Tarmangaidon as he is, even his victory may be as dark as his defeat."
Hello everyone, welcome to the first video on my new booktube channel. I'm Jack from Jack's Book Reviews, and today we're going to be talking about book number 8 in the Wheel of Time series, The Path of Daggers by Robert Jordan. I'd just like to take a quick moment to admire this cover. I love these older hardback covers. I think they stand out. They're very unique to me. I just wanted to briefly talk about why I'm starting now. Why not earlier? Why not later with BookTube? And I've been considering it for a long time. Some of my favorite booktubers like Mike's Book Reviews and Daniel Green uh, have always been an inspiration to me for picking up fantasy to start with, and also just getting more into BookTube. And finally, I decided after reading this book, you know what? I'm gonna make my review about it and share it with the world. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into my spoiler-free thoughts. So to start off, a lot of people consider this book to be in the slog, which is a slower part of the Wheel of Time that kind of drags on and doesn't have much going for it and is just boring. And while I will admit the first half of this book is slower than others, it picks up rapidly as you go along. And I mean really, loved the character development in the latter half of the book. And even still, some of the slower paced moments is fine by me. Sitting with the characters, enjoying them, getting to know them better. After all, it's been 8 books. I know some of them like I know my friends in real life. It's really unique, and that's what I love about these fantasy stories in the world that Robert Jordan has built, and how long it's been going on for. So it's definitely better in my opinion than its previous book, book 7, A Crown of Swords. That was the slowest paced book for me by far. So I would say definitely give Path of Daggers a chance. Consider it. I didn't really feel like it was in the slog all that much. So without further ado, now going to get into some of the plot. So if you don't want to listen to any spoilers from here on out, there are going to be some. Just want to let you know. So, book 8, Path of Daggers, begins in Ibudar with Elaine and Avienda, and after the Golem incident, where the Golem attacks, and it seemingly cannot be stopped whatsoever. It's going on a killing spree to try and defend the Bowl of the Wind and keep it out of the hands of Elaine and Avienda and bring it to the hands of Forsaken. Um, and 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 Matt actually finally brings this kind of to an end. He almost dies in the process, but he brings it to an end, and then he eventually convinces Elaine and Avienda to leave. So that's where this book kind of kicks off, is with Elaine and Avienda leaving. And as they leave, Avienda actually unweaves a gateway, which is something, I guess it's a big no-no, or not something people do very often, which Avienda didn't really know because she did it before when she was getting chased. She wanted to be chased, but she was getting chased by Rand earlier in the series. And she unweaves it this time because she feels like someone's watching them. She's spooked by the Golem. She feels like the Golem is watching them and going to come after them. Turns out it's actually Moradin. But this was unique and different. Normally, Avienda, being an Aiel, being a former Maiden of the Spear, is cool, calm, and collected. That's her. That's what she might be feeling panicked on the inside, but she never lets it dictate what she does on the outside. And this is the first time you really see Avienda break down a little bit and get spooked, and it leads to her doing something really cool with the power. But at the same time, it also shows a different side of her, which I enjoyed. Um, and so after this, they get away and they use the bowl of the wind finally. The sea folk actually are in charge of this, not the Aes Sedai, not the Aiel wise ones. It's the sea folk because they have the most experience with the weather, and so kind of seeing them all linked together to use the bowl of the wind was this very unique moment. Um, Especially when they're weaving Sidar into it, but they can also feel that Sidin is being used too. But there's something not quite right um, with the whole thing. It's kind of affecting the power, both sides of it, and it's really cool to see, and it has some cool impacts later on in the book. And eventually, with the Bowl of the Wind, they wind up making some drastic change to the weather. Finally, no longer being hot, but now might be a little bit colder than they wish for. Um, and at the same time this is happening, the Shan Chan come back and land at Ibudar. So this, the Shan Chan they're all right. I don't dislike them, but I'm not in love either. Hopefully, we can get rid of them soon enough. Rand certainly tries later in this book, that's for sure. Um, and so as the Shanchan come back and they realize it, they make another gateway to make their escape. And this time Elaine actually tries to unweave the gateway, but it kind of backfires because she panics and the gateway blows up. So that's a danger of unweaving the gateway that we didn't really know about until right now. But it winds up working out in their favor a little bit because now the Shanchan think that the Aes Sedai have a new weapon, and they tread a little bit more lightly because it kills a lot of the Shancha, and they're trying to get through the gateway to go after Elaine and Avienda and their armies. And then after this, it switches to some chapters with Perrin. By far, in my opinion, the most boring of all the chapters. Not much really happens between Perrin except Perrin going back and forth with Fail like he does all the time for seemingly the last three books. Um, which is a shame because I really liked Perrin, especially after leading the Battle of the Two Rivers. He was growing into his own, I felt like, and then he kind of took that long-winded absence for a couple books, um, and ever since then it's been just hard for me to get invested. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this. Are you having that same struggle with Perrin, or are you more? Do you like him more? Are you able to get right back in there with him? Um, and so during this, he meets Maigedin. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but she's actually Morgaze, although Perrin doesn't know that, at least not yet, not in this book. He might in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But uh, I'm not really a fan of that development either. Uh, the Morgaze stuff, it grates me a little bit. Um, it, I don't know. And then we switch to Rand, and finally, Rand starts having some issues with the power. He's seeing double when he tries to use Sidon. This is a new development. Maybe some of the madness creeping in, besides just lose their in constantly being in the back of his head. One or maybe not being in his head. Maybe that's madness too. I don't know. Um, that's a cool development. I like that, but definitely some sickness going on when Rand uses the power now, which is good because for a while it seemed like Rand was just going to run away with this thing. He was going to be too overpowered. He's developing his powers too fast. He's got Kalendor. He's got the other Sangreal. Lanfear's gone for now, at least. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I like how Rand's starting to have some more flaws besides just the fact that he doesn't like when other people lose their lives, so it makes him a little bit hesitant uh, in like wartime decisions. Um, and at the same time, Egwene starts to set in motion her plan of war against Elida. This was some of my favorite chapters. Her maneuvering, uh, not against, but maneuvering to gain the upper hand on the sitters and the hall, who treat her still kind of like a child, like a pet Amerlin seat that they can just do whatever they want with. But Egwene's learning from Swan. She's learning from her own mistakes and her own successes, at the same time becoming a very powerful Amerlin, not just in the power, which we all knew she was, but also mentally at the same time. So I'm really liking these chapters with Egwene. Um, and Rand finds out about the Shanshan in Ibu Dar, and he decides, I cannot have this because they're gonna come. They might come to Ilion next. So rather than wait for them, I'm gonna go out and attack them with my Ashaman. But what he doesn't know is that the Bowl of the Winds, the, that little that got used at Ibu Dar, is impacting Saidin and Saidar equally negatively at Ibudar. So it makes for a real interesting circumstance that Tashiva actually points out to Rand. And at first, Rand thinks Tashiva might be going mad and is questioning his confidence. But then Rand reaches out to the power and really feels it, reaches out to Sidon, he really feels it. And he too notices that there's something wrong with it, something more wrong than just the normal taint that's on it. Um, and it's very, very interesting. It's also the reason why the Damane of the Shanshan aren't used as heavily this time around, because they are feeling the impacts of Sidar, the impact that the Bowl of Winds had on Sidar, and how it's kind of uncontrollable and not really doing what they want it to do. So it allows actually the Ashaman, who are a little bit more willing to use Sidin to the fullest extent, to gain the upper hand, despite having a lot less numbers in this battle. But even still, even with that, they are losing more men than they can afford to lose, and it leads to Rand becoming a little bit desperate, and he decides to use Kalendor, which he actually sent Narishima. We find out that's what he sent Narishima to go get for him. And he takes Kalendor and he reaches out and he tries to use it to kill all the Shanshan, like he had used it to kill all the Trollocs before. Um, but this time it backfires massively in Rand's face. It actually takes Davram Bashir 2 times to knock him over before Rand realizes what's happening. That he's not just killing all the Shanshan, he's killing all of everyone, his men, everyone in the area. And it wrecks Rand because, like I said earlier, that's one of his weaknesses. He doesn't like unnecessary loss, especially loss that he caused, whether directly or indirectly. And he's directly the cause of this massive loss of life. And so even though Rand successfully drives the Shanshan out of Ibudar, it does feel like a defeat for Rand. It's actually the first time Rand really feels defeated in battle this whole time. Rand's just been going success after success after success, and now finally he's defeated in his eyes. He lost because of all the lives that he took on both sides, and this is a unique twist because it felt like Rand was just going to keep winning forever, and so now he lost, and I'm interested to see how he bounces back from that in future books. Um, and so after that, Rand returns to Kyrian, where he learns from Cadswain about this flaw in Kalendor. Rand's like, "Well, thanks. I could have used that information earlier, Cadswain." But he admits that he made a mistake and that he probably isn't going to use Kalendor anymore. We'll see if that actually winds up being true, but for now, it's definitely will be. And then at the same time, it actually the Ashaman rebel against Rand. Some of them, they're led by Dashiva. They try to kill Rand. They fail, but it's an assassination attempt nonetheless, and it shows that Rand isn't as powerful and isn't as united as maybe I thought earlier and everyone else thought in the world. Um, and it shows kind of how Rand is not necessarily invulnerable and invincible. He's got to be careful. And as a result, it leads to Rand deciding to go on the run with Min. Not because he's scared, but actually because he wants to draw the Shiva and the other Ashaman and the Forsaken to him, make them all think that he's weak when in reality he's strong. Um, so I'm very interested to see where that goes. And finally, we end the book with Perrin getting to the prophet Masema and telling him, "Hey, look, you're coming with me. Rand, like we got to go see Rand because Masema and all his followers are definitely getting out of hand." So Perrin's there to try and take him down a notch. And actually, what happens at the very end is we find out Perrin left Berylane and Alejandra behind because he felt it was safer for them because the prophet's followers and the prophet himself are absolutely mad and bloodthirsty, and having all of he didn't want to risk Fail and Alejandra, especially not Fail, to the prophet and his followers, and potentially things getting ugly and maybe they get in harm's way. But they wind up being in harm's way anyways because the Shido come out of nowhere and capture them all. And the last thing we see is, in a shocking twist, a funny twist, Beryl Lane escapes, and she's the one that now is alone with Perrin and gets to tell Perrin that Fail is in danger and gets to maybe manipulate Perrin a little bit. We'll see. That ought to be interesting. So now I move into my overall thoughts of the book. Like I said, not the biggest fan of Elaine and her chapters. I felt like Elaine is still trying to be something she's not. I mean, she is a queen. She has that right, but she's forcing it a little bit. She's almost asserting her right onto everyone else. And I don't like how pretentious she comes off. And I think Robert Jordan intends for that to be the case, but I'm not a fan. Um, Perrin himself also very boring, which, like I mentioned, is unfortunate because he was one of my favorite characters after coming into his own really in the battle of Eamon's Field against the Trollocs and the Murdral and the Shadow Spawn. Um, but it's just brutal trying to get through some of these Perrin chapters, man. I tell you, it is not the easiest, especially now that Morgaze is in them too, as Mygdin. I I'm telling you, I'm done with Morgaze. I just wish she already relinquished her throne technically to Elaine, although Leni I believe is the only one that heard it. But she's got all this, like she was gonna escape with the White Cloaks, and then she escaped, but she escaped from the White Cloaks as well, and now she's with Perrin acting like a servant. Um, and she's in love with Talonvor, not in love with Talonvor, drive crazy by Talonvor, I'm not sure. Maybe all three at once. Um, but it's just, I don't know. It comes off as dry and unnecessary to me. I think that's one critique a lot of people do have of Robert Jordan is he doesn't necessarily write uh, romance the best, and at the same time, some of his female characters the best. They get a little bit repetitive, and I definitely see that with Morgaze. Um, Egwene, on the other hand, really loved her in this book. I thought she's coming into her own as the Amerlin seat, learning from Swan and becoming very formidable. Like I said, not just in the power but mentally as well. And I'm excited to see where her war with Elida goes. Um, I do wish we saw a little bit more Matt in this book. I don't think Matt was present whatsoever, but that's all right. From the fan base loving him as much as they do, clearly he doesn't go away completely forever. So he's definitely going to make a strong comeback. I'm excited for that. I enjoyed seeing the weakness in Rand as well. I know that might sound strange, but it's nice to see that our main character is flawed. Um, and just the same on to help fix his flaws. Cadswain, like an older, potentially more powerful version of Moraine, and at least more assertive than Moraine with Rand. He's not able to push him around like he can push almost everyone else around, and I really like that. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And lastly, the epic battle with the Shanchan and how everything kind of seems like a lot of the buildup we've been getting between the Rebel Aes Sedai and the White Tower, with Rand and the Shanchan, with the Bowl of Winds even finally uh, starting to pick up steam, starting to come together. We're starting to get these battles, and in this book it had the awesome payoff of the end of Rand's battle with the Shanchan and using Kalendor and having that crazy plot twist with Kalendor. So looking forward to the next book, Winter's Heart, book number 9. I'm really excited to see Rand potentially on the run and see where that goes. I've heard in this book there's a lot of Shido, so I'm also interested to see how that plays out, and Perrin hunting down Fail against the Shido, and hopefully maybe we can finally start to get rid of the Shido, because they are probably the longest running nip in the bud of everyone in the world, especially of Rand and the other Aiel. And lastly, Egwene's war with Elida. We had that really cool fade to black scene towards the end of the book where they start the war, and then it all kind of just fades. And so I'm excited to see how that will transpire, and how hopefully Egwene can unite the tower again. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this book or and the channel, and any upcoming books you would like me to talk about.